Okay, hi guys. So today what we're going to do is to share a very interesting AI agent that we built. I have Aman with me, and we've been building this agent for a while. It's something that solves problems in the insurance onboarding and pre-sales workflow, and our mode of solution is primarily voice. Now, this is a short conversation around it, around what the problem is and how we solved it. We'll also give you a live demo. We've been building a bunch of AI agents in the background, and we'll be picking them up one by one and sharing them in videos like these, where we present them and our thinking behind it, the kind of problems we faced in it. So this particular video should give you a good idea, and maybe even get you independent ideas on how you, if you're running a business that needs more AI automation and agentic workflows, if it can benefit with it, you'll be able to identify and spot opportunities, which is what we do for a lot of businesses that we talk to. And I think this one is a very good example of showing how we've done it for one large enterprise already, right? We're already building it for Aditya Birla, and they have found a lot of early success in this. And I think what we've got here is so many possibilities in optimizing so many workflows, from whether it be around marketing, whether it be around sales, whether it be around customer support, and then some internal operational workflows, which will, of course, vary the most from one company to another. I think voice is one of the most important mediums of communication, especially in a country like India, where we have such diversity of languages and such variety of accents. There is so much work that's happening on building Indic LLMs and voice foundational models, which is what we use. And when we build applications on top of these foundation models, all of the data that we gather becomes proprietary for us to fine tune over time and improve over time, which I think is exceptional for any company to kind of build defensible value over time. So with that context, I think what I'll do is let Aman, who's the brains behind the solution here, kind of walk us through the kind of problems, the kind of market that we're looking at, the kind of problems we're solving, and we'll give you a demo and the solution how we built around it. So Aman, let's just kick this off. Thanks for coming in.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Nivedan, for having me over here. And yeah, I mean, the way you described, right, that we're going after problems which can be solved by use of GenAI, and we believe voice is going to be the new UI. And it is a very inclusive kind of a UI that comes into picture. So talking about the solution that we have, yeah, it's around the insurance space, and I'm happy to have this discussion with you.
Yeah, so let's get straight into it. Why don't you set up the context a little bit about what is the market and what is the kind of problem statement that we're picking? If you can give us a quick 1 to 2 minute description of this, then we can start off into the conversation.
Absolutely. So the problem that we're going after is, many of your audience might have purchased their health insurance or any kind of insurance policy. The product is a complicated product right now. The way it is sold is you have middle agent. 90% of the policy in this country is sold via a middle agent. So if you look at the manufacturer of the product, it is the insurance company out there, and the way this product is delivered to the customer, there are a lot of intermediaries in between. But if you look at the product is very complex. Like buying an insurance policy is not something that you go and right away buy. You need to understand what sort of features does the policy has, what is the benefit for me, and that's where the challenges are. If you look at the current situation, many of the insurance policies are missold, misrepresented. Many times user do not have an understanding what my policy is. And there's a new kind of behavior, Nivedan, that is coming in, which is people proactively are calling to get a consultation before buying a policy. So we're seeing that space open, and we believe enterprises like insurance companies have unscalable solutions through which they can reach out to their users, which is what we tried to do.
Well, I think this is where this is what we discussed earlier, that insurance as a product is so complex and it is so variable in terms of it is very personalized for your needs as an individual, in terms of your what your family structure is like, what are the kinds of challenges do you anticipate in the future, right? What is your current financial standing? All of these things have to be accounted for, all the risk factors, and then you find certain products are far superior than the others, right? So one part is that some products can actually be misleading, and the insurance agents, we hear stories of this all the time, that their incentives are aligned with the maximum, commission that they get from the premium. So it does happen at times that they're not aligned with the end user or customer's goals. And given that the product is complex, given that the incentives are not well aligned, this is the perfect place for a market to have
Absolutely.
problems of mistrust at times and mis-selling at times.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can have more standardization, people are already seeking consultation in the form of YouTube videos, which are like my friends at LLA Label or Advisor, they are known as the largest influencers in the space of advising people for insurance, whether it be term insurance or health insurance and others, but primarily these two. And what they found, they hear stories of bad insurance selling all the time. So we of course found a lot of value in this, and all insurance companies, they find a lot of value in this. So I think the problem statement is very clear. How can we improve the buying experience for a customer and offer them a simple way to make a decision and get them the right product in hand?
Education first, sales later. I think that's the motto the world will move to.
Correct. So
Yeah.
we realize that anywhere where the product is more complex, the need for customer education increases. And even before them making up the mind, the time spent on education and kind of making up their mind and being informed in general is significant. And it picks up, and it is not practically feasible for a human to get through that journey all the time. As well as it is not super complex to educate them about this. There are LLMs today are powerful enough to get all their question answers in place.
We absolutely. Yeah.
So I think we've touched upon the problem and the kind of goal we're looking at to solve with this. We think the AI today is ripe for solving these educational pre-sales processes that are out there. So that is our challenge. Clearly, we know that. Now, how did we go about building the solution? In fact, before we get into that, why don't we see a quick live demo? We had a recording which you
Yep.
had case.
Yep.
Why don't we see that? And after that, let's talk about the solution as well.
No, absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll just show the users a recording of our live transaction that we did. So this is done with one of the insurers, and this is a
Just for context, we had tried doing this live, but the quality of audio wasn't very high. So we instead chose to, like, in doing it on a live call on my mobile would be a little drop in quality. So the people who are viewing this may not be able to hear. So just giving that context. So we'll play this file. Please go ahead.
yeah.
देख रहे हैं या किसी और के लिए?
हाँ, मैं मेरे लिए हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस देखता हूँ.
ठीक है, आपके हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस प्लान के लिए कुछ ज़रूरी जानकारी चाहिए होगी. आप अपना फर्स्ट नेम और लास्ट नेम बता दीजिए.
मेरा नाम जॉन डो है.
धन्यवाद जॉन. जॉन के नाम बताने के लिए.
मेरा डेट ऑफ बर्थ 1 जनवरी 1990 है.
धन्यवाद. कृपया अपना जेंडर बताइए.
मेल.
आपका ईमेल एड्रेस क्या है?
johndoe@example.com.
क्या आप @example.com कहना चाहते थे?
हाँ.
धन्यवाद. अब अपना 10 डिजिट का फ़ोन नंबर बताइए.
9876543210.
शुक्रिया. अब अपना एड्रेस और पिन कोड बता दीजिए.
123 ग्रीन स्ट्रीट, न्यूयॉर्क. पिन कोड है 543210.
धन्यवाद. अब अपना हाइट इन फुट और इंचेस बताइए.
मेरी हाइट 5 फीट 11 इंच है.
और आपका वेट इन किलोग्राम्स.
मेरा वजन 78 किलोग्राम.
क्या आपको कोई प्री एग्जिस्टिंग कंडीशंस जैसे डायबिटीज, हार्ट एलिमेंट्स या ब्लड प्रेशर है?
नहीं.
आप कितने अमाउंट का इंश्योरेंस लेना चाह रहे हैं?
2 लाख रुपए.
धन्यवाद जॉन डो. मैं आपके दिए गए सभी डिटेल्स को कंफर्म कर लेती हूँ. नाम जॉन डो. डेट ऑफ बर्थ 1 जनवरी 1990.
हाँ, सब डिटेल्स ठीक है.
आदित्य बिरला कैपिटल हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस के एक्टिव 1 NXT डिजिटल प्लान से आपको 2 लाख रुपीस का कवरेज मिलेगा.
अच्छा, इसमें एड ऑन्स कौन से हैं?
आदित्य बिरला के एक्टिव 1 NXT डिजिटल प्लान के लिए अवेलेबल एड ऑन्स ये है. 1. क्रिटिकल इलनेस कवर rupees 1227.6. 2. Claim Protect 266.4. 4. Durable Equipment Cover 104.1. 5. Second Medical Opinion for
Compassionate visit में क्या होता है? Can you explain?
कंपैशनेट विजिट एक एड ऑन है जो इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी में शामिल किया जा सकता है। इस एड ऑन के तहत अगर पॉलिसी होल्डर किसी और शहर में हॉस्पिटलाइज है तो उनके फैमिली मेंबर को उन्हें मिलने के लिए ट्रैवल एक्सपेंसेस कवर किए जाते हैं। इसमें टिपिकली एयरफेयर, अकोमोडेशन और खाने पीने का खर्चा शामिल होता है। इससे फैमिली मेंबर्स को पेशेंट के पास रहने और उनका सहारा देने में मदद मिलती है।
Oh, this is great. ये ऐड कर दीजिए।
ठीक है, कंपैशनेट विजिट एड ऑन को इंक्लूड करते हैं। आपको अब आदित्य बिरला के एक्टिव 1 NXT डिजिटल प्लान के साथ कंपैशनेट विजिट एड ऑन मिलेगा।
In the interest of time, I think for the what we have tried to show is this is the entire journey that happened. You can actually understand the policy, and the agent is also helping you actually purchase the entire policy, like making the payment, doing KYC, and even after post policy, once the purchase is done, the agent can actually help you understand what your policy document looks like. If there's any claim related processes that are coming in, how do you go about it? So essentially educating a customer first, and this is where I think the solutions like this comes into picture, right? That no matter where and what language your customer speaks, you are able to cater to his or her needs. Your age and the agents are available 24/7. So any enterprise in this age would be looking at this agents as a representative in front of their customers, and that is where we are coming into picture, building those workflows for them.
Got it, yeah. So this is one solid workflow. What I really liked about it was that the flow and the gap between the agent and the human. This is what has stood out to me in all the things that we've done so far. Is it feels relatively quite natural, and there is no unnatural gap between where they will have to wait for this to finish and then it has to wait for me to finish. It feels very to and fun fluent. Like the flow is quite fluent.
Yep.
Which you can say in some cases is also low latency.
Yep. Correct. Exactly.
So that is there. Can you also tell everyone like what is the model that we're using in the foundation layer?
Yep. So we're using OpenAI's model in a couple of places. The way we are doing it is, I think the part that you highlighted, right? We have worked a lot in terms of reducing the latency. The video that you saw is around 150 ms to 200 ms, which is a human ear can distinguish once it is 300 ms and beyond. So if you can bring down the latency to 300 ms and below, it almost feels like you're having a very natural conversation. And I believe that's the orchestration part where we are able to build a good solution. So we're using bunch of models over there and we're doing the orchestration, but the entire gem of a piece is how do you bring the latency low and how can you, I mean, it's one thing to do for a couple of conversations, but if you have to build the solutions at scale, you need to think about how would the model stick to their information. How would you be able to do it at a cost which is actually viable for a business to take care of? So those kind of things is something that we're taking care of.
Correct. I think for more context, for people who are new to voice agents and the foundational models, so currently the top one is 11 Labs, and I think they are still working on latency. They are having improvements there constantly, but they've already recently in the last month, they made an announcement where the latency is improved further, but it's still a little expensive. Then we got our Whisper by OpenAI, which is one of the most popular ones. It's relatively cheaper, but it's not as versatile as 11 Labs yet. The yet word is very important. The two more which are less popularly known are one is Cartesia. They're also doing a reasonably good job, but I think it's yet to catch up as well. Right. And finally, there is a new announcement that has come out, I think yesterday, is Kokoro. Have you heard this, Aman? Right. So Kokoro seems like it might be like the lowest latency and fastest one in response time, tokens per second, everything like that it's able to get as a very highly natural voice.
Yep.
This is wonderful, especially for a lot of conversations that are going to require some more degree of human emotionality or certain range of emotions and tone. That 11 Labs right now seems to be the best in class, but probably not by a big margin anymore, right?
I think, see, in case of this models, right, everything is 3 or 4 months that everybody catches to. Because the point is, till date, everybody has been building on top of transformer architecture, leaving apart Cartesia, who is doing a different kind of architecture stuff. That is the reason why they're able to bring the latency down as well. But apart from that, it's a transformer architecture. The more the amount of data that you have, the more the trading compute you have, you are ultimately able to reach down to a capability that frontiers have. So that's the bet that even we are taking, that even the open source models in today's day and age will reach to a near real time experience going forward.
For anyone, when I have conversations with people, there is a common criticism that it's not there yet, and I'm like, first, it is there yet in many ways. For whatever things, of course, there are certain nuances to everything. One model may be having strengths in one area and not so much in the other area. I think fundamentally we are going to expect every 2 to 3 months there is a cycle of major jump in whatever foundational model we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Which is literally what, 8 to 12 weeks is nothing in the scheme of things. By the time we're implementing the solution, the next model comes out and we just have to update from the back end
Absolutely.
and just test it out for certain use cases, of course. And that is why you need people to have proper evals, certain evaluation matrices,
Yeah.
and so on, that we've already, kind of put in place.
Yeah.
So these are, I just wanted to give some more context for people who might be wondering, like, what are we using and so on. So that helps. Now, why don't you share like a little bit about the solution? How did we go about it, and what is the thinking behind it? Can you walk us through that?
Yep. So the way we are going about it is, primarily we are working with enterprises to understand what are their problems and where could GenAI be actually useful. And to go about it, you actually need to understand what the current state of technology is possible to do and what are the problems that actually can be solved using this technology. So in case of this insurance use case, it was coming from both the ends. We have had word with people who were having a poor purchase experience in terms of insurance, and we could also see the experience moving towards something like ditto, where people were calling a human person to understand how the policy they could purchase. On the other end, the enterprises that we were talking were mentioning a lot of things, that it is the cost of acquisition in insurance is way too high, because there are a lot of distribution intermediaries in between that makes the end product actually difficult, and the end product itself is complex. That is why they need somebody to explain. So if you put those two pieces together, where the customer needs education and the manufacturer is finding it difficult to reach out to customer in terms of educating, that is where I think something. And if you have a technology like LLMs in between, which is nothing but has the ability to reason and explain things, I think you could figure out that something can be done here. So that's the way we went around. We talked to enterprise, realize what their problems are, and how could the technology fit in between.
Fair enough here. And I think we had a workflow in place. So probably we'll append that workflow somewhere in this video here at this point. And I'll let people also see, like, through our thinking of how we went about designing this solution, like have a quick snapshot of that in terms of a simple flowchart. Are there more demos? We had that. Let's go through those demos as well and give people a flavor of the variety of things we can do here.
Yep. So second use case that we're working with one of the enterprises, which is around the B2B distribution spaces. They usually, in B2B, people provide credit. And if you're providing credit, there comes to a point where you need to reach out in terms of, will the repayment be done? If not, what is the reason and how do you take care of it? So that's the second use case around which we build one of our agents, which I'll just share my screen and we can have a look at.
For those who are still wondering, I mean, this voice will benefit most the people who were not included in the current UX systems in many ways, right? How many Indians really go still to, let's say, online places of Aditya Birla listing it out, or even the big platforms like Policy Bazaar, and there are so many more. But I think it's very important for us to realize that there is a play of languages here which are beyond English. There is a play of UX, the interface, which is beyond just a regular website or an app. I think eventually they will merge. Like, we are aware of that. Right now, we are trying to master. We mastered the voice flow standalone, which is its own importance. But I think we can all agree that the UX of the future is more inclusive of different kinds of UXs that we see.
Yep.
So that's where we're headed. But we'll have a look at this Sarah conversation as well next.
Yeah.
नमस्ते राहुल शर्मा जी, मैं सारा एबीसी कॉरपोरेशन से बोल रही हूँ। मैं आपके पर्सनल लोन के भुगतान के बारे में बात करना चाहती हूँ। आपके लोन का 50,000 रुपए का बकाया भुगतान 1 जनवरी 2025 को पूरा हो चुका है।
कौन से लोन की बात कर रहे हैं आप?
राहुल जी, मैं आपके पर्सनल लोन के बारे में बात कर रही हूँ, जिसमें 1 लाख रुपए का मूलधन था। इस लोन में से 50,000 रुपए का बकाया भुगतान अभी बाकी है, जो 1 जनवरी दो
पर मैं तो ये पेमेंट हर महीने कर देता हूँ। क्या आप चेक करेंगे रिकॉर्ड में? मैंने पेमेंट किया है शायद।
जी, मैं आपके भुगतान के रिकॉर्ड की जांच कर लेती। कृपया इंतजार करें। राहुल जी, मैंने आपके भुगतान के रिकॉर्ड की जांच की। आपके लोन में अभी भी 50,000 रुपए का बकाया भुगतान है, जो 1 जनवरी 2025 को पूरा हो चुका है। आपके पिछले महीनों के भुगतान की जानकारी भी हमारे पास है।
मैंने कब पेमेंट किया आप बता सकते हैं?
राहुल जी, आपके भुगतान का रिकॉर्ड इस प्रकार है। 1 अक्टूबर 2024 को 10,000 रुपए, 1 नवंबर 2024 को 20,000 रुपए, 1 दिसंबर 2024 को 20,000 रुपए। इन भुगतानों के बाद भी 50,000 रुपए का बकाया भुगतान अभी भी शेष है।
अच्छा, ओ मैं शायद जनवरी वाला पेमेंट करना भूल गया था। न्यू ईयर पार्टी थी। एक काम करिए, मुझे आप ये रीपेमेंट की डिटेल्स शेयर कर दीजिए। मैं पेमेंट करके कर दूंगा।
जरूर राहुल जी, मैं आपको रीपेमेंट की सभी विवरण मेल और व्हाट्सएप के माध्यम से कुछ ही मिनटों में भेज देती हूँ। आप यूपीआई, एनईएफटी या आरटीजीएस या नकद के माध्यम से भुगतान कर सकते हैं।
ओके, जस्ट आउट ऑफ क्यूरियोसिटी, अगर मैंने पेमेंट नहीं किया तो क्या होगा?
राहुल जी, यदि आप भुगतान नहीं करते हैं तो कुछ परिणाम हो सकते हैं। तुरंत प्रभाव, बकाया राशि पर 24% प्रति वर्ष का अतिरिक्त दंड ब्याज, क्रेडिट इंफॉर्मेशन ब्यूरो सीआईडीबीआई और अन्य क्रेडिट ब्यूरो को नकारात्मक रिपोर्टिंग, आपके खाते से जुड़ी सभी सेवाओं का निलंबन, 30 दिनों के डिफॉल्ट के तहत।
अच्छा, ठीक है, मैं कर दूंगा पेमेंट।
So this is the another case, and I think Nivedan, the point that you were making, right, that not everyone is comfortable with the current UI that we have in place. If you think about India is a population that is moving towards aging, we'll have around good 500 600 million people who will be above 45 50, for whom the current UI and the complexity that we have doesn't make a lot of sense. Voice would be very inclusive for this kind of folks. Like, imagine, let's say, a retired person who has his amount being deposited in a bank, or who has a pending loan that is going on. For him, if he's able to call to the bank and have a conversation, understand how his current loan status looks like, have the repayment be made, those actions becomes really simple. Now you're actually understanding what the intent of the user is and designing system basis that intent. So that's the idea. I think this use case shows the capability of that piece.
Absolutely. No, I think that makes sense. I like the fact that this conversation was 100% in Hindi. Even terms like mool, byaj, and some dand word, even this was a little hardcore for me, which is what also caught me off guard last time we saw. So, which was that it's gotten pretty good. I'm waiting for the fact that one of our foundation models makes it slightly less formal, which is what I'm looking at. The moment that happens, it feels more natural conversation, not like a formal chat with. I think that is the next layer of improvement for sure on this. Yeah.
I think in couple of months you'll have models whose voice would look like more from an emotional perspective as well. Like, it will understand what your there's a company called as Hume who does that. Yep. They can actually identify what your user intent is, what's your emotional state. So the responses from the model could come out in that way. I think in that sense it could just revolutionize the customer support and customer.
Yeah. I think Yum will be quite a milestone in the audio Gen AI world. And by the way, they've recently struck a partnership with Anthropic a couple of months ago. So while Anthropic was lacking a little bit on the voice side of things, with Hume, I'm hoping they'll catch up, and
Yeah.
they'll catch up much better, and kind of pace ahead immediately.
Yep.
Yeah. So cool. I think we've seen a couple of demos as well. Now, do we have more demos, by the way?
Yeah, I think these were the two primarily. We have created use cases which are different for enterprises, but yeah, we'll keep on.
But it's important that these were tested out by the enterprise themselves, right? And we had to mask out with the PII thing. So that is there. I think one thing that we can probably also talk about is, what is the benefit that the enterprises can expect from flows like this? Like, how can we make this into a more, um, like, make it evident on our P&L that integration of AI, this is the impact we can see on the balance sheet over time? How does a business think about it?
Yep. I think ROI is most important because for POCs it is fine, but if you want enterprises to genuinely double down on this, they need to see the impact on the P&L. And the biggest, I mean, that's the reason why going after use cases where your revenue can increase would make a lot of sense. Reaching out to customers, putting it out in an educative sense where your conversions would have a definite impact on it. Imagine if 100 people are coming on Aditya Birla's website to purchase a policy, if this kind of interface even has a 2-3% conversion, and the cost of this integration is following a commodity trend, so in that sense, for every enterprise, this is the opportunity to serve their customer in a dramatically different way. Like, to be in front of the customer with their brand identity, somebody representing them in the true sense, 24/7 available. My personal sense over here it, and I think we both can agree to a point that every enterprise will have an agent that represents them. Every brand will have an agent that represents them. So the start of it has started happening. You'll have enterprise workflows where this will have a immediate impact on the P&L, and some of the workflows where customer satisfaction and NPS could also be tracked for a brand.
Yeah, I think fair enough. And just a small framework that I had built, and we are yet to discuss this properly. But this is a framework, right? There are two kinds of places where we'll see ROI. One is in the form of man hours, or the number of leads nurtured divided by the number of man hours we spend. Assuming that, of course, that man hours is a constant hourly dollar rate, whatever. So if we can service more leads, move them from interested, like, or other, like, one stage, the entire sales funnel, right? A lead which has expressed some interest to qualifying it, and then from qualification to making it hot, and then from hot to converted, right? So in the first two steps, I can see very clearly wherever human calling was being done. In certain use cases, we'll see that humans will be redirected and reallocated to slightly later stages in this entire process, which means that the number of qualified leads you get divided by the cost you had in terms of man hours, we'll see an immediate ROI on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Qualified and hot, I both for applies for both of these. So that is the straight calculation. And the second one is that because our lead qualification volume as well as quality both will go up, it will immediately impact our conversion numbers eventually when they make the purchasing decision, right? This is where again it's measurable, but you don't need to measure it by man hours now. You will probably retrain some of your individual, say pre-sales people to acquire a bit more conversion kind of skill set, right? And have higher quality touch points instead of low quality multiple touch points. You go into high quality touch points in the entire journey. The conversion we can measure again, the ROI there. You can easily see, like, in terms of the qualified leads you had earlier to converted leads, the dollar value generated from that. And now you can see after the new flow implementation. So these are extremely measurable. It's not like only, and then of course there will be some parts of it which will be NPS and experience driven.
And one more thing, it's like these are the explicit figures that you can look at. There are a couple of implicit insights that can come out as well. So imagine if your agent is having a conversation with the customer and a customer drops off. Right now in today's day and age, you don't know why that drop off happened. Maybe the customer did not find the right answer. Maybe your pricing was really high, whatever it is. But now all this conversation that is happening with the agent, since it is a digital conversation, there could be a lot of insight in terms of knowing how your conversion funnel will improve. So that implicit benefit which is within the conversation, that also gets open to an enterprise. So yeah, I mean, the possibilities are.
And to the extent, I think the next step in this process would be to integrate these models like Hume that we're talking about, which measure the customer's optimism towards this interaction. or
Okay.
towards this particular policy.
Yep.
Which I think is so much richer data than just qualifying randomly what
Yep.
is the qualified warm or hot lead. You say their voice visibly got a bit more excited and more affirmative as the conversation went on, or it could be the other way around. In which case, you can then split them again into two different kinds of workflows.
Yep. The new age of A/B testing would be how do you or different voices?
So whatever was like a binary decision of warm, hot, everything becomes like a gradient, and those gradients will have qualifiers for how to proceed from
Exactly.
here onwards. I think that is the evolution that we're going to look at, and this is the kind of things we want to build for these enterprises. Yeah.
And the good part is this agent, wherever it is having a conversation with any of your customer, knows exactly what this customer current data is regarding. So every customer conversation is based on the knowledge about the and the journeys could be personalized. You need not have a specific journey for each customer because now you understand the customer. Maybe for few customers you don't even need KYC. The entire of those, like, so those experiences on the fly is now a possibility through a medium like this.
No, I think that sums it up. I think what we've covered is the entire thing here. We're talking about, just for a quick conclusion and summary for the entire conversation, is that we spoke about the context here, like what is the kind of challenge that an enterprise faces, what is the kind of challenge a customer faces, and why there is misselling and misalignment in the entire process of this insurance, something as important as insurance, correct, which has a literal massive impact on your life. This is that important a decision, and problem is hot, right? It is evident that this needs solving, and then there are enterprises who need to do a high quality education as a part of their selling process. That is what we have identified as a great place to insert an AI conversational agent. We are today a voice. We are focusing only on voice right now, but the future looks like a mix of voice plus other interfaces. And then we already can capture all the data that is necessary about the customer. We can have, in terms of the features, we can also integrate the entire knowledge base of all insurance policies and be able to train our agent and get it the access for answering all their queries, right?
Yep.
So all the work that was being done by a human at times, who was also misaligned at times, will now shift. At least the educational will completely shift to AI. At certain more nuanced, advanced stages, when they're closer to sales, we expect more human involvement. So I think we are looking at both improved cost efficiency for an enterprise as well as improved conversion at the end. So it's not just a saving hack or anything. It
Features
both,
with
and bottom line both. And honestly, that all of this is happening by rearranging your team to focus on different touch points in the entire journey. Right? So I think this sums it up. We've seen a demo and seen it in action. I think it was super cool, very low latency, and it felt quite natural. And we are talking today, and probably 3 months down the line, when we see this video, we would have integrations with more advanced foundational models. We'll have more emotionality in our assessment, right? So making it more nuanced, a view in every single sales conversation. I think that is remarkable. It's not a small feat.
Yep. And the ability to take complex actions is only going to increase from here. Like right now you're seeing models who are fairly like your graduate level models, but you're seeing models that are becoming more like a PhD level model. So what this does is, in terms of executing on behalf of user, those complexities also increase. So in 6 months, maybe on the entire task of wealth manager is something that we can try out that a model can do for someone.
So yeah, I mean, we have, for more context, we're in conversations with a few more people. We've built a few of these flows and early stage prototypes for some people, more advanced stage for some others. So we've had a bunch of these conversations for us to know the kinds of challenges to expect. And I am most excited about the use cases in sales, marketing, and support. I think these are the places for maximum generative AI integration. Some of them will, of course, benefit more with voice. Some of them will benefit more via simpler chatbots. The others will be more naturally integrated in their apps, existing apps, and they will just not be visible to the customer as an AI, right? It will just be very natural, and we forget that AI ever existed. I think that's one of the cool things that I like, that AI is not here to take your attention and grab for more of your mind share. It is actually meant to offload your cognitive burden in making any decision, right?
It'll be like electricity. It'll be just present and you'll forget it's there. So
There's a reason why we are so optimistic and so bullish on the idea of AI agents. I think I'm expecting in the next 3 to 6 months we'll see ridiculous improvements in this further. But what doesn't change is the fact that any enterprise which believes that this is coming and they need to be more prepared for scaling their whatever problem areas and solution areas, they must start acting on this now. The important steps are to kind of get your shit together, like kind of thing, get your data together.
Yeah.
If we can put all of that data in a nicely organized manner, I think that's a very important step for any business to do. That enables you to be more prepared for any new AI workflow that is launched or you build for yourself by talking to a team like ours and all of that. I think that is very important. Second is, I think I advise whenever I'm in conversation with businesses and senior leaders of large enterprises, I tell them that, you got to have a certain mindset of experimenting and building prototypes. If you have a solid tech capability in-house, they should absolutely go ahead. If not, at least get a team to build you prototypes before you make a judgment about it.
I think we there's an analogy that can work in this case. Like the organizations in today's day and world will hire digital workers, right? Either you can try and build those digital workers in-house, but it's good to give it a try to see what other schools are outside. Like people can actually build digital workers that can work for you. And yeah, that's a call out to the enterprises, because this shit is real. It's coming for everyone out there. It's about who brings those experiences upfront for the customers, and yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful. So even before getting implementation, getting super excited at an enterprise, for smaller businesses, I think there are out-of-the-box solutions which are reasonably good, who are not looking for a very customized thing and more standardized use cases. But for most medium to large businesses, and even many cases small businesses, they will need some degree of custom designs to solve whatever challenges they have.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a different unique workflow, I think. So having the mindset to kind of get your digital backbone of your company at one place, that is one. And the second is to have a mindset of experimenting and prototyping with a in-house or an external tech team is very important. Then comes the implementation stage of, okay, now that we've stress tested and we've evaluated what exactly is the response of our customers, I think that's when you look at implementing. So these first two stages is something that I think everyone needs to get in order before, they imagine the AI entire organization being transformed with AI magically. I think that doesn't happen. So yeah, I think that's with that, I think we can conclude this conversation. Anything else that you would like to add, Aman?
No, I think just a call out to the enterprises, in case if you believe that this kind of interfaces can improve your customer experiences, reach out to us. We are here to help you out. We are here to sit with you and understand and build solutions that can be game changing. So yeah.
I think I'll also mention in the when we post this, I'll also mention in the description that we have been taking up a few consultation calls to figure out this is for them, and it doesn't matter. I mean, more than happy to share. I generally make videos about educating people anyway, so more than happy, because businesses need more attention and all of that. So happy to do a consultation call. You'll find the details in the description below. So that should be good enough. Thank you so much. If you've stuck in the video till so far, I think then you have the right mindset to be looking at the AI. I think that's how I would put it. I think we enjoy making these solutions a lot, but it can be daunting for certain people who are not from a very solid tech background.
That's the reason we are here.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, yaar.
Thanks, Nivedan. Thank you.